I'm feeling compelled to speak today. I'm just a little riled up. And the reason being is because I discovered something a long time ago, and I'm going to share it with you. The world is set up in a way that everyone's perspective is not their own. The way we choose to see the world through our eyes and the way we interpret the world and think about the world has been inbred into us since we were children. From the moment your parents started telling you how the world was the moment that you started becoming indoctrinated in becoming a repeater, snuffing out your imagination and your own free thought to see the world the way and interpret the world the way that you see it. I am not kidding when I say that I have taken so much psychoactive drugs in order to kill who I thought I was, based on everything that everyone has always inbred into me. It took a long time to kill myself. I'm not talking about grabbing a gun and shooting myself, although at times in my life I've actually thought about doing that. And if you are thinking about doing that, please don't. There are people in your life that you have touched that love you. There are family around you that love you. Regardless of their actions, deep down inside, you're a part of them and you're a part of this world, and we all need to love each other. Yes, this is me ranting. This is me needing to get some of this out because I'm really angry right now, and I don't like the energy of anger, but the energy of anger does prompt those that need to act into action. And the only way we'll ever accomplish anything in our life is through action, and we're seeing that now in this world. My daughter is 7 years old and likes this stuff called gotcha life. Have you ever heard of this? There is people making videos, putting these videos on YouTube that are having these children watch these stories about people questioning their sexuality. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with questioning your sexuality. I get it. You know what? The world is a very confusing place, and we are in a confusing time and place as well. I have no problem with how you choose to live your life, who you choose to love, because I love everyone equally. I don't see race. I don't see religion. I don't see creed, color, caste. I don't see anything like that. I see us all as the same. We are all on the same level playing field. Every single day we wake up, every single day we need food and water, every single day we need shelter, every single day we seek love, every single day we do the same acts to each other throughout our lifetimes that we do. And you do so with your own free will. From my perspective and my perspective only, I feel very strongly about reincarnation, the fact that we come here not knowing anything, but we have the ability to have free choice and free will, and we can choose whatever we wish to. I feel like our energies and our spirit that does reincarnate, I feel it is a positive energy and a negative energy. And you can't have one without the other, and it all exists within energy like the force. And I'm trying to explain this in the best way that I can, in the most rudimentary way that I can, because there isn't enough people talking about this. Everyone wants to share their perspective, just like I'm doing here, but the perspective is also going to be twisted with some kind of information that they've been hand-fed, because they have not chosen to kill themselves and start all over and start thinking freely for themselves. They're intertwining their free thoughts with the information that they've been constantly bombarded with and latched onto and said, hey, I like that. That is now my perspective. And we all do it. I'm just as guilty of doing this as well. And I hope that if I am making you angry, I'm making you an angry person in a way that is going to cause you to act in doing, in researching, and trying to prove me wrong, because in doing that, you may actually prove me right. So at the end of the day, my daughter's watching this gotcha stuff, and she's 7 years old, and they're talking about sexuality, and she hasn't even experienced life in a way that we experienced our lives when we were kids. There was no internet. There was outside, there was nature, there was playing, there was imagination, there was the parks, there was going into the forest, there was going to the beach. There was all this great stuff without being bombarded with information always, always, always. So my daughter is coming up to me at 7 years old, asking me whether she's a lesbian or not. And I know that it's brought on by these videos she's watching because I had to go through all her search history. I literally removed YouTube. I removed her ability to download any apps. I've removed any Messenger. I had Messenger installed so that I could just reach her when she's at her mother's house. But I had to get rid of that as well because you know what? At the end of the day, I don't know who can reach out. There's so many videos out there, if you've ever bothered to see them come up on Facebook, where there's these people catching pedophiles that are messaging our children and asking for nudie pics and asking to meet. These people actually go and meet these people at different locations, and I don't even know how they don't end up beating them up or getting in jail themselves for killing them, because I honestly can't imagine hurting a child in life in any way, shape, or form. It makes me sick that we would do that to ourselves and to another human being. But anyway, she's coming to me and asking me things, and I'm okay with talking about these things. I'm prepared to be able to talk to these things. I've been an open book with her about every subject she's ever come to me with. And I said, you know what? It doesn't matter who you choose to love in life. I want you to love every single person equally. And I don't care whether you like boys or you like girls or you like trees or you like fairies. As long as you love, that is all that matters. And I will always love you for who you are, no matter who you are. But to have that conversation and think about it, guys and gals out there, think about this. Your children are also watching these things that have them questioning the world and their place in it as a child. And they're listening to these stories about, let me see here, different things like ghosts, UFOs. One thing that I constantly have to talk about is Slender Man, and how Slender Man isn't really real, and how two girls went and killed their best friend and then made up Slender Man because there's a fictitious story on the internet where people were implanting the scary picture of a man. And then all of a sudden manifesting it on another reality. All of a sudden now I have to talk about this with a 7-year-old person who believes everything she sees being told to her by all these uneducated people who are steering people towards the worst kind of negative thought processes and negative perspectives. I'm so sickened to my stomach that I have to tackle these things. So immediately my reaction was to get rid of the technology and remove it completely. But then that limits my ability to communicate with my daughter during the week, to be able to see her face. And it also puts her at a disadvantage because this entire world is set up to be pushing technology on kids from a very early age. You do realize that Steve Jobs, the maker of these things, and anyone else who makes these things, who care about their children, don't allow their children to have these devices in their own homes. Think about that for a minute. Again, I'm not saying that we don't need to have these conversations about sexuality or what have you. But I am saying that at 7 years old, at a child's mentality, they shouldn't even be putting that in a question. Yes, children evolve and become sexually active at different ages based on whatever their experience has been in their lifetime, you know? But at the end of the day, a child should discover those things in the time in which they themselves are ready. And by bombarding them with this information and them not having the appropriate ability to discern between what is real and factual and what is fake, because they can't even go and search on Google because they're not interested in reading, because they need to see things real time really quickly, or otherwise they lose their attention and become bored. This world that we've set these children up to be living in is crazy, and none of us want to go ahead and do anything because we're lazy, because we would also rather be a part of that world with the technology in our hands, because we're all distracted by all this stuff and constantly bombarded with negative media. I realize this has nothing to do with UFOs, but I need to get this out because I'm really aggravated about it, and I need other parents to hear this kind of stuff. The saddest thing is that she's too embarrassed to tell me what exactly she was up to last night. So again, I removed the Google store for her ability to download anything, any messenger, any Facebook, any YouTube. All of it's gone. All of it's disabled. Any kind of ability to do web searches gone completely. So that I can rest assured to try and limit the information that is coming to this girl, because the information coming to this girl, she is latching on to like it's gospel. And you know what really makes me mad is that as adults, we are in the same boat. You know what? I've really rejected everything. Media, social media. I've very, very little posts from me in regards to the subject. I have not had cable television for 15 years. I have not read a newspaper in over 15 years. I really limit the ability for anyone to project their perspective onto me so that I can remain naive, so to speak. And it's done really well for me, and I no longer feel the worst of the worst. And I was like, written with anxiety and depression over the state of affairs of the world, and the way the world is set up, and the negative forces that are in control, and how there's just so many people that are really arguing about semantics, words, and they're just arguing over each other's perspectives, and they're not really hearing each other. They've shut down their heart. They've latched on to this negative mindset of me, 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 me. And that's a terrible place to be in, because at the end of the day, you're stopping your ability to help people, and you're stopping the ability for people to help you and to change you and to make you feel that love. You don't receive that love, and that's a really hard life. You age really quickly. You become more apt to disease. A lot of bad things continue to happen to you, and they continue to happen to you and continue to happen to you. And the reason why is because you're just emulating or emanating in a negative energy field, and you're attracting that negativity to you. Just like anyone who has good luck. Why do they have good luck? Why does that person always do really well in life? It's because they're constantly telling themselves and manifesting themselves in a way that they're saying, I'm going to achieve these things, and they're doing it because they continue to walk and accomplish those things. They're not lazy. What really upsets me lately is I've been seeing on YouTube as well as Facebook a ton of UFO videos being created by video creators, by CGI people. And there's another channel that I'm seeing who's taking little snippets of news pieces and putting them together to tell a narrative, a false narrative, always talking about the end of days. And when they're doing it, they're doing a date, and then when that date passes, they latch on to a new date. And they have over 1 million subscribers to their channel. I can't even get 1,000 people in 4 months showing amazing UFO captures, better than in most channels. They just show the video and that's it. They don't blow them up. They don't slow them down. They don't even talk about them subjectively. And I don't necessarily understand what's going on in the world, that everyone would rather look at fake information and subscribe to fake information than bother to look anywhere else for any other information. I don't get it. And I don't necessarily think I ever will. And me stepping into this spotlight as far as talking out loud about these things is not something I really ever wanted to do. And the reason being is because I'm giving a part of you and my perspective in a way that you're now, you're either really jibing with what I'm saying, or you're really hating me for what I'm saying. And that's okay. Both polar extremes exist in this world today. We operate on a positive and a negative scale. We have our physical bodies, and our physical bodies are a meat sack. We have our energetic bodies. It's our energy. It's our connection with the entire universe, the entire world, everything around us, both inanimate objects as well as animate objects, meaning plants, insects, everything, even the wind, fire, every single element, every single space dust, We are all connected together through the energy of positive and negative. We all have the ability to tune ourselves. We all have the ability to talk without even talking through our energies. And there are people out there that are psychics that a lot of people don't believe in, but these psychics are people that are attuned to that. You sometimes, and everyone has the ability to actually accomplish that. But again, you have to kill yourself. You have to kill every single thing that you were brought up to believe so that you then can learn and reinterpret the world from being a child so that you can then figure out the way the world is, because the way the world is, from your perspective, is the way the world manifests in front of you. And that perspective is yours, it's unique, it's personal, and no one else can take that away from you. And however you see the world is how the world is, you guys. So if you can project in a positive way, if you can learn to tune yourself to the positive, we will start seeing a manifestation of more positive things. I had to read a lot of books to understand these things, and even those books only gave me little snippets, again, from someone's perspective, from something they learned from somewhere else. But I took those perspectives and I dwelled on it, I meditated on it, and I decided what parts of that message I would like to receive and how I'd like to receive it and what its worth is to the way I'm looking at the world today. Again, I've been in my own world for the last 15, 20 years, making a personal world and a personal connection, reaching out with what I call and consider the infinite creator. I put no name, no face, energy. That's it. I put no value in it. The energy can be negative and the energy can be positive, and it all exists within the same mainframe. And it does so in a multi-dimensional process. It's really messed up, you guys. But if you've ever seen one of those tunnels that's showing a tunnel where it's going from inside the tunnel and coming and wrapping itself around and going back around, I don't know what you call it. I'm not an educated person. I don't claim to be. Don't follow my teachings. Figure out life for yourself, please. But at the end of the day, the way I view the world and the energy and the universe that we live in, it's kind of like that diagram, as above, so below. And just energies coming in and up and around and down, and it's in between and everywhere. And we all have the ability to dial into positive and negative. And there exists energies within those positive and negative ranges that we can vibrate on. And what I've found throughout my searching on the internet and looking and reading books, religious books, personal self-help books, and anything in between that might fascinate me, what I've found is a lot of people telling me how the way the world works and how I should view the world, but not really telling me that I should go and figure it out for myself. And I only figured that out when I started taking psychotropic drugs, LSD, mushrooms and such, to go ahead and kill every single part of who I was projecting myself to be. And it's taken me a lot of people who have said a lot of things that have angered me, so much so that I've gone to try and prove them wrong in order to figure out exactly what they were saying and why it is that I got mad in the first place. Because any real truth is always going to make you violently opposed. And the reason being is because you have been, I guess, programmed very expertly through spell casting and subconscious manipulation by the entities, the negative realm that controls this world. And the people that are running the world right now are honed in on this. And if you don't know, you need to research things like Moloch. And there's some Bilderberg group and Alex Jones, although I don't agree with anything. I feel like he's still a part of that whole process of telling you how to feel and what you should think. But at the end of the day, he goes and does an expose where he goes into this camp where there are a bunch of people that run this world, and they all go to this ceremony where they emulate and pretend to have a child sacrificed, all in front of Moloch, which is a old pagan deity. And it, again, you know, positive and negative, right? Every single text that you're ever going to go and learn from that comes from a religious standpoint is going to give you positive and it's going to give you negative. And they attach names to the positive and to the negative. So as we identify with those names, we give those names value, we give those names existence by our consciousness latching to the name and creating that existence. Again, positive and negative energy, y'all. This knowledge here has taken a lifetime of isolation and loneliness trying to figure out. It has not helped me make friends, and it's pushed me to being a lone wolf. And I'm very comfortable with being a lone wolf. And I've come to know that the only way to really get a hold of the magical, mysterious world and to figure it out for yourself is that you have to do it alone. But you also have to put yourself out there and allow yourself to be learned and taught by other people, other teachers, because there are a lot of great teachers teaching love and positive vibrations without really even realizing what they're doing, but their message itself from where they're honed in and where they're channeling because of their positive mainframe, their positive mentality, they're harnessing those positive loving vibrations and those spiritual energies or entities or whatever you want to call them. They're coming through and they're working with you. It's an amazing thing that you can research when you look at harmonics and you look at those boards where they put grains of sand and they throw different harmonics at those vibrations and they go through different frequencies that are both positive and negative, and you see a picture of what that looks like. And that picture is a vibrational scale that only comes through in that way. Or there's another scientist that's throwing I think it's words, sounds, both good sounds, loving sounds, and they're flash freezing ice or water, and it turns into ice. And depending on the vibrational energy, positive and negative, it will tell you whether or not, or show you whether or not it's a nice, beautiful, universal object, or whether it's all broken up and nasty. We're made of water. Have you ever thought about that? There's a rice experiment that I watched on YouTube. It was very fascinating stuff. These people took rice, made it, put it into little mason jars labeled hate, love, and ignore. Completely amazing for like 3 months or 2 months. I don't know. You'll go and research it maybe if you actually have spent the time listening to me talk so far. And just search YouTube, rice experiment. And they over a course of time, they throw loving words, loving whatever at the one jar, and they throw hateful words at the other, and then they ignore the one. And they do so every single day for like a 10-minute period. And at the end of that time frame, you see the rice that the hateful words have been spoken to versus the rice that loving words have been spoken to. And you see a complete difference between mold or what have you. I wouldn't eat the rice. I wouldn't suggest it. But at the end of the day, you see the mold growing on the one jar, the hate jar, and you see the love jar, it's free of mold. And that itself is just rice. It's a grain that has been fluffed up because of water being put into it. It's the same with us, right? If we didn't have water, then we would be kind of like a California raisin, so to speak, right? So we have all this water in us, and what we say to each other, what we think about each other, what we think about ourselves, what we say to ourselves, all those things have the ability to change the water molecules inside of us. Again, we're a meat sack. We have an energy body or a soul. Some people separate the soul and the energy complex. I try to just look at it as one large whole. Our energetic body has the ability to attune to all frequencies, all dimensions, at any time we wish to. And we can do so through our own mental awareness and our own mental focus. The things that you say out loud are more powerful than the things you think inside, but the things you think inside, depending on whether they're positive or whether they're negative, are going to then manifest in your physical reality. You go ahead and do this, you guys. Put it into practice. I want you to wake up every single day. I want you to look in the mirror and tell yourself how much you hate yourself. And I want you to start the day like that and see how long it takes before you're ready to go back to bed and never do it again. I know there are people out there that are operating in that way. I used to be one, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. There is a different way to look at it. You know, it's taken me a long time to realize, but those negative thoughts, that downward spiral of a staircase that I've traveled so many times, that was being introduced to me from those negative vibrations and that negative energy, because each energy field or vibration actually feeds and manifests off of itself in order for it to grow. It's just like a cloud, like a little mini cloud. I had to explain this to my daughter the other day. How does the rain fall in the Bermuda, but why does it fall in Alaska as snow? It's a very complex thing where you could throw a lot of different big words at people. But in general, if you think about it, the ocean's made of water. The water evaporates from the sun and turns into clouds. Those clouds eventually collect so much, and going through positive and negative temperatures, it ends up changing what the actual look of the water is. So that water, when it's in the warmth, turns back into rain and goes back down to the earth. And eventually it evaporates again and goes back up as clouds. But as that water turns into clouds and those clouds collect, they grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you have a big storm where it can expunge it all again. Clouds. What a wonderful thought. I love clouds. I love nature. Everything's been displayed to us in nature. Nature is our greatest teacher. So these negative forces or energies, both good and bad, positive and negative, are feeding off of you because you're consciously, when you are in the bowels of mental depression or positive outlook or whatever, you're thinking it, you're vibrating it, you have energy that is surrounding you, and people pick up on these things subtly. And science is actually discovering this, has discovered it for the last 40, 60 years, but realistically, it's really going to start coming out now. Because people are looking, people are searching, people are feeling that vibrational shift of energy, that there's a positive, loving force that we are creating and manifesting. All of us that have this ability and all of us that are tuned into this knowledge, we're trying to pull you, those in operation of the negative, we're trying to pull you up to the positive. Because through the positive, we're going to see a lot of change. We're going to put a lot of action into place. But this can only happen from a positive standpoint. If we can, it will have a positive outcome. We're bombarded with negativity. We're bombarded with negative forces. This negative force is feeding off of our negative consciousness, this energy that we're outputting all the time. So I ask you, when you're in that negative mindset, I call it a downward spiraling staircase, because I've known it so well, my friends. I've known it so well that I know it to be true. And when you're stuck in that, instead of thinking that you are, start thinking about the fact that perhaps that thought process that you're actually in is coming to you from a negative energy that is trying to have you get to that point. And when you discover that, and when you latch onto that truth, that's when you might actually start being able to identify that you have your own free will. You are magnificent. You are wonderful. Your perspective is your reality. And it's the only thing that matters. And you have the ability through your own free will to change that to a positive side. Start saying to yourself, I love myself. I love myself. I love this about myself. If you have done wrong in your lifetime, That's okay, because guess what? We all had the free choice or the free will to do that. And we've been manipulated by energy, positive and negative, to make those choices. It's always been told to us in religion. But the one thing about religion that I've discovered, because I've read a lot of them, is that every one of them, if they don't teach you about what I'm talking about now, and they tell you that this person on high is in control, and this person on high is the only way to reach this person is by doing blah, 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 blah. And if you do wrong, this person or this thing or this is going to happen to you. If they teach you that and say you need to give me money, and you need to give me your time, and you need to take on everything I'm saying and say it back to me as truth, then they're misleading you, and they've perverted that message through our own egoic mind, through our own necessity to be. And that comes from our body, that comes from our animalistic side of us. Because again, we exist in a meat sack. But you need to realize and connect with your higher, greatest divine. And the only way to really, truly do that is to do it for yourself, by yourself, and without anyone telling you that you need to follow the way they do it. Especially if that teacher is teaching you without telling you the who, what, why, where, and when, and how. Because oftentimes, all these people like Stephen Greer right now, I haven't read, or I watch Unacknowledged. Again, he's making money, he's doing his thing. I mean no disrespect, Stephen Greer, if you're listening to this, but if you are teaching people how to contact alien beings, what you are doing is you're teaching essentially a person to discover their spirit body or their energy body, and to how to attune it to the positive and negative. But if you don't teach people how to attune to positive and negative, and you don't teach people about positive and negative forces, these people are going to have this same experience as I had as I started to try and do this work without anyone teaching me about this stuff. I had to learn from the infinite creator. I had to put myself out there, and I had to go through the negative in order to experience and understand it. And I don't want people to have to go through that. Because when you jump and open up that spark, you open up that energy where you're connecting your physical body to the mental, or the energetic realm. When you do that, you are now a big, huge homing beacon in the sky for all negative energy to recognize. And just like that, once you turn it on, you're not going to be able to turn it off without years and years and years of trying to oppress it. And if you don't learn that everything I've just spoken about, if you don't learn anything that I've just spoken about of positive and negative, what's going to happen is negative's going to come to you. You're going to all of a sudden be attacked, and you're going to get scared, and you're not going to know how to defend yourself. No, because they haven't taught you about the positive and the negative forces. They've just told you that these are aliens or whatever, and that's what you're going to contact. And that's really only a smidgen of the truth. I'm getting fired up, you guys. Hopefully this audio I can tame down and make sure that it's not too bad, because I don't have a good microphone. That's why I really try not to talk about this stuff, because you guys, this is crazy talk right here. You know what I mean? This right here has lost me family members and friends. But again, your truth is your truth, and your perspective is your perspective, and it's your reality, and it's the only thing that matters in life, yours and mine. But anyway, when you get learned in this kind of knowledge, and you don't learn to protect yourself, then you will be constantly under bombardment, and it will have physical manifestations. If you go and watch any of these shows that I've watched, which is every single ghost show that's ever been on television since the conception of ghost shows on television, which was from Most Haunted, whoop whoop. Yeah, anyone that knows anything about ghost shows, Most Haunted was the very first one that actually did that kind of investigative style. There was some older ones that did exposés and whatnot, and did like little featurettes and whatnot. I remember them on Canadian television, but Most Haunted in the UK did the investigations, and they started the ball rolling. Ghost Adventures, one of my favorite ones. You can see the age. You can see how Aaron Goodwin, if you don't know, Aaron Goodwin is spiritually and psychically connected. And Aaron Goodwin, unfortunately, is got a lot of love, and his energy is open. I can tell just by watching him on television. And Aaron Goodwin is constantly giving energy and doesn't really block his energy from going out into the world. And so what happens is that these guys are going into these dark places sometimes that have both positive, loving spirit, neutral spirit or energies that, again, positive and negative, you guys. But they have these negative forces and energies that have either, manifested, been created themselves, or what have you, conjured, what have you. I don't want to get into it. But you can see through Aaron Goodwin, you can see over his time, their tenureship, that they've been doing it for over a decade, I think. I feel like I've known these guys like they're my buddies. Like I could reach out to them and be like, yo, what's up, Aaron? Hey, Zach, how you doing? That's how long I've watched these guys on television for. You can see Aaron's whole body and his whole physical self. He's aging rapidly, and it's the same to be true for all those guys, and they all know it. I've started watching some of their screaming room sessions. You guys, if you're hearing me talk about this stuff and you want to actually get more knowledge from this kind of stuff, I'm down with talking about it for sure. I definitely am. I try not to, but again, I'm seeing so much the wrong information being pumped out. My kid is under bombardment of wrong information and perspective, and she's not smart enough to research on her own. So therefore, that knowledge that she's learning, she's not deciphering it. She's not using discernment. She's just taking it as gospel. And unfortunately, the sad truth is that whether you're a child or whether you're an adult, we're all in the same boat where everyone's projecting their thoughts and their opinions. And it really comes down to, are you looking to be a positive being, a positive energy, living a loving life, or the opposite of that? And anyone teaching you, if they're ever teaching you out of love and harmony, then that's great. That's the kind of teacher you need to follow. But the moment that any negative or ego or someone tells you this is the way it is, unfortunately, there's so many different paths and so many different roads that you can travel down. Everything that is has already been, and everything that has already been will ever be. It's all the same, as above, so below. There's only positive energy and negative energy, and you can attune yourself to any of it. So I'm going to teach this to you guys because I find it very important. I had a lot of psychic attacks when I was a child. I had a lot of demons come to me, a lot of spiritual negative energies that were constantly tormenting me. And because I was a young psychic child and an empathic, intuitive myself, and I didn't understand what was happening and what was going on and how to control it, all I knew is that my dad had dreams that came true. And so therefore, I might understand a little bit. And I started traveling to these crazy realms in my dreams, or astral traveling, dimensional traveling. I started being able to fly in my dreams, control my dreams. I started communing with the animals and the spirits that came into these dreams, both positive and negative. And I had to learn all this stuff, but I was constantly being attacked. And the reason that I came to learn was because I was putting out so much energy and so much fear that they were feeding off of it, that they continued to bombard me with negative thoughts and negative mindset. And only once I recognized positive and negative energy, and that we have the ability to attune ourselves to both at any time, is the moment that I started living my life in the right way, in the positive way. And I retreated myself from everything and everyone in order to accomplish that. And I don't want that from anyone. I don't want that for anyone, because, you know, the goal of life is fellowship. The goal of life is to commune together and create that uplifting, loving, positive energy together. And as we do so, we manifest so much good, just like we manifest so much bad. So one thing I want to teach you is that energy and your mentality before you go to do any of these spiritual activities needs to be in a positive, loving manner. Unless you're trying to get negative. If you're trying to go to the negative, you guys, then get mad, get pissed off, and go right into a meditation and go ahead and commune with negative forces and negative energies and negative vibrations. Because again, I can't stress this enough. We all have the ability to operate on negative energy and positive energy. Like a radio dial, we can constantly go back and forth, back and forth. You are in control. And so when you do that, again, you should be doing it to the positive side, because through the positive side, you're going to learn knowledge. Through the negative side, you're going to learn hate, you're going to learn oppression, and you're going to be controlled, because the negative lower realms need to control you in order to feed and continue to operate. Where the positive ones are going to bring you into more knowledge, more oneness, more understanding of the positive and the negative, because knowledge comes from everywhere. Once you discover that everything is positive and negative energy, and that we are all together within and can all together move up and down in that radio energy waves, that field, when you can do that, you guys, you have the ability to learn anything you ever wanted to in a way that's easily understood. So far that I've experienced anyway, with the exception of languages. And again, I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I'm saying that I'm very happy with the way I'm viewing the world, the way I'm operating in the world, the way I'm projecting myself to be, and the opportunities that have presented themselves to me. I could keep going on and on and on and talking about how I've led myself to these discoveries, how I've gotten to this place, each person that's gotten me there. I could also go through, the intent of this video was to actually talk about and disclose to you and show you negative operators and people telling the wrong information, and UFO video, CGI video creators creating UFO videos was the original intent. But I think this is way more important because of the experiences I've had to catapult me to having to talk about this. And instead of talking about this with the rest of my family, I'm choosing to talk about it with myself in this room, recording myself talking about it. So I hope my messages have found you well. And if you are looking to operate within the fields of energy, and you are looking to commune with entities, aliens, whatever they are, I don't know what they are. I won't tell you what they are. I will just tell you that there's good and there's bad, there's positive and there's negative. You need to learn how to visualize things for yourself using your imagination, visualizing a protective white light around you. You should be asking for white light protection. You should be manifesting that protection. And you should only be trying to commune with things that are positive and loving. Of course, if you're a negative entity and you're honed in and you're self-serving and you're a narcissist and you're operating on the negative scale, and you look at the world through a negative place and you appreciate the negativity and you kind of get off on it, then you're probably going to learn this information and make utilization of it on the negative side of things. There are people in this world that operate on both channels, and we need to be aware of that. And we need to be aware of the teachers that are teaching us and the messages they're teaching us. Are they teaching us subjectively, unbiasedly, or are they infusing their own personal agenda into these things? There's positive and there's negative, and there's the nothingness in between, you guys. So I hope this message finds you well. I hope you're in a good place. If you're not in a good place, Talk to somebody that you know, talk to somebody that you love. They love you. They don't want you hurting. They are there to help you, and they don't even realize it, and neither do you. But sitting around and not talking about it with anyone isn't going to hurt anyone but yourself. And if you choose to take your life, I hope that in your next lifetime, you don't do the same thing, and that you're able to break free of this vicious, mind controlled, negative place that we are manifesting and living in. This realm that we live in right now is under the control of a negative energy, and it has been for thousands, if not millions of years, everybody. And we are all being manipulated by these positive and negative energies. And we're all fighting about, talking about, sharing, and trying to, I guess, get everyone to see things from our way. So be careful of your teachers, be careful of the knowledge. Please read books. Please figure out perspectives for yourself. Please, if you are going to try and kill yourself in a metaphorical way like I'm suggesting you do, if you can't do this, it's a rude awakening. Please have someone there with you in order to make sure that you're protected and watched in case there's any trouble that happens. I wish you all the best. Love and light from John over here at UFOs Worldwide. If you've tuned in to me to listen to me rant this long, 45 minutes, you guys, I really do appreciate you. I love you. I think you're amazing. I hope you do wonderful things with this new knowledge that you've obtained, and I hope that you apply it throughout the rest of your life, you guys.